Greetings, this is Digital Apex, and if you already knew that, welcome back. It's been a couple years, but here I am talking about this stuff again. Today's topic is going to be about Call of Duty, more specifically, Modern Warfare 2019, and its god-awful skill-based matchmaking system. The majority of the gameplay footage on the screen is actually going to be a clip I have from MW3 that was recorded back in 2012, where I was going for a Moab, so apologies, but it gets slightly campy in the middle of the recording, so make sure you go back in time and yell at 14-year-old me if you disliked it. Now, for those of you unaware or barely familiar with a skill-based matchmaking system, allow me to break it down for you. Skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM, is a multiplayer algorithm system that matches players with a certain skill against other players with likewise skill, be it like, based on kill-death ratio, skill per minute, win-loss ratio, or a combination of any of those. There are also possibly a few other factors contributed to the system, but the devs never really specified what exactly, and still haven't. They also haven't denied or even acknowledged the existence of SBMM in any recent games, but community testing's proven otherwise, with some noticeable exploits that players use to get around the system, such as manually joining recent players' games if that particular player happens to have terrible stats, in the hopes of matching against other terrible players for the exploiter's benefit. I'm aware skill-based matchmaking exists not only in CoD, but Modern Warfare is going to be the focus of today's video. So, why is skill-based matchmaking a problem for Call of Duty and such a hot topic amongst the community? Well, there are a few arguments I want to address for why skill-based matchmaking should be removed, or at the very least, separated from the traditional matchmaking playlist. First, it severely divides the community with hardly any commingling of varied players. It breeds an area of players that kind of just hit a wall with playing the game, I'll elaborate more on this in my second point, but there are many players, myself included, that believe matches should be random, with internet connectivity being a priority, instead of it being left to the wayside in favor of matching you with players of similar skill. Even with dedicated servers, someone who is in New York that gets matched with someone in California, or God forbid Europe, will have a noticeably worse connection in the match than if they were matched with someone in, say, Pennsylvania. But if that player is particularly good and has a 2.5 or 3 KD ratio, the game will try to find players to populate that skill gap for a more even match, sometimes sacrificing connection quality. It segments the community, and if it must be in the game, I suggest a ranked and casual playlist. So if you want to just play a game and get challenges without worrying about some sweat sliding into you with an MP5 and dead silence all the time, you won't need to forego the frustration that comes with all that stuff. Secondly, SBMM harshly punishes good players and rewards bad, if seldomly. An example: I'm not amazing at Call of Duty, and far from it, but I also rarely go negative in any game I play, and my highest KD I've had in a CoD game was, I'd say, a 2.7 in Black Ops 2. So, not amazing, but definitely in around, I'd say, the top 20% of the community for Black Ops 2 anyway. I would consistently get swarms and routinely place in at least the top 2 leaderboards for the match. Nuclears were rare, but I did get them a handful of times in the game's life cycle. So, now compare that with the current Modern Warfare, right, where getting a nuke is more of a challenge unless you play something like Ground War, Infected, or Camp a majority of the game, if the game even lasts that long. Random games are excellent for not only good players, but also bad players. Now, hear me out. You might ask, how on earth is it good for bad players? Well, my skeptical little friend, it's good for bad players because it helps them learn how to play the game, especially if it's their first CoD. A learning curve is something bad players should get over to become better players. I don't know about you guys, but the first CoD multiplayer experience I took seriously back in the day was MW3. When I hopped into the game, I got my ass stomped every single game. Now, 2 procedures in, though, I had a whopping 0.75 KD. It was terrible, complete dog shit by a majority of standards today. Now, at the end of the year, I sat at Prestige 13, and I have a 1.8 KD and roughly 14 days of gameplay time. So, still not amazing, but leaps better than where I was when the game first came out. So, I don't speak for everyone, but I hate when I'm carrying the whole team, especially if they're all negative. It's not fun for me, and I'm baffled that going 7 and 24 is fun for them. If you don't care about stats, then that's fine. I, however, care about not needing to sweat my ass off every single game, right? And dying out of 9 out of 10 gunfights. And if for bad players that getting stomped, it allows them to be thrown a bone every now and then by matching with a mixture of players, because they might be able to easily kill 3 out of the 6 guys in our team, while the 3 other guys might be better than him, so they can see what they're doing wrong slowly rather than being deleted every single engagement with the enemy. This also helps with player retention and keeps people coming back to populate servers. That said, once in a while, you do cross paths with the complete sweat lord, and it can be refreshing. I remember myself and 3 of my friends were playing a game of Domination in Black Ops 2. The map was Express, and the sole guy who was actually doing work on the enemy team ended up squeaking out a win because he did a damn good role of playing Slayer and just locking down objectives. We were so impressed with this guy, I looked at his stats. At the time, the game had been out for, I'd say, roughly 4 to 5 months, but this man was already Master Prestige and had a 5.0 KD, so we were fucking mesmerized. What's more, we actually had fun trying to kill him. Every one of my team made like a contest to see who killed him the most at the end of the game. It was a blast. But now, imagine that every single match. It would get pretty infuriating, right? I've already had multiple friends uninstall Modern Warfare simply because they match people that they needed to constantly try to outsmart every game to win. If I want to play a game where I need to sound whore and outsmart the other team, I would just play Rainbow Six Siege or something. So CoD is an arcade Twitch shooter where I just want to turn my brain off and see XP flash on the screen while I pub stomp with some friends like back in the old days. But now the game dictates that I should be placed against a bunch of guys that use the same 2 guns, slam G Fuel for 12 hours a day, and play cracked out meth heads whose lives depended on winning the single game of TDM every single game. And this isn't you're just bad, Apex. I might be ass compared to your brother or cousin who drops a nuke every 30 seconds and gets all the pussy in school, but I tested this out by playing on a friend's account. He has a lower score per minute and a lower KD than me, and every kid I ran into in his matches were complete bots with almost no reaction time or common sense. Another take on this was actually done by a much bigger channel than mine, Core A Gaming. I'll link to the video on reducing skill gaps in the description. That video was mostly talking about fighting games like Tekken or Street Fighter, but I believe it applies to the industry as a whole, and I think it was a pretty valid take on it. But my point, the game needs to stop rewarding shit players with good players to balance out their abysmal team stats, and games should be random unless you play a ranked playlist and you're not bad at and if you're bad at the game, you just have to do what we all did and get better. If you play enough, you'll eventually learn how to get better. If you don't have time to learn, then why are you playing it in the first place? Lastly, it creates an environment where people can easily exploit the system to their advantage, making the skill gap even worse for the player base in any match. A great example of this is already being done by big YouTubers, and it makes sense why Activision or Infinity Ward never even specified the formula that they use for the skill-based matchmaking. I'm not saying every single YouTuber does this, right? But the guys you see dropping 50 kill games every single game are being a little bit disingenuous with their footage they upload. A lot of people end up exploiting the skill-based matchmaking system by purposely reducing their stats or buying fake accounts with terrible stats in an effort to get matched with terrible players, you know, in comparison to their actual skill level. Another way people have gotten around the whole system, is by simply finishing a game, seeing the worst player in the game, and then manually joining that player, you know, to get matched up with more dog shit players. So it's very predatory and fundamentally abuses a system that is supposed to be a counter to it in the first place. If at the end of every match you just keep joining whatever dude went 2 and 25 at the bottom of the leaderboard, it's like skill-based matchmaking doesn't exist at all. And all you need is some patience and a non-existent conscience for playing like a complete slime lord, which on the internet a lot of people are fine with doing so long as they get big numbers under the kills and wins tabs, right? But in my humble opinion, like, Call of Duty, like, as a franchise, I kind of have a soft spot for, Halo included, and they're both going downhill pretty quickly, not only in sales, but also in player retention. I know so much people that have uninstalled Modern Warfare 2019 because it's just not fun for them, you know? And I don't know if that's because of changes in the gaming culture, personal taste, or loot boxes, or skill-based matchmaking, or whatever, but there is definitely a change in the winds, and it bums me out a bit. So, who knows? Maybe this is just the new standard in gaming, and I'm just getting old. Like, I don't know. I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there and see what you guys agree or disagree with me about. But I'm gonna keep letting the gameplay here play, and so you guys can see me drop this Moab. Because yes, I actually dropped this Moab. Watch me spray this wall like an idiot, because I think he's behind the wall. But yeah, I don't know. I figured I just wanted to make this video and put it out there for you guys. So thanks for watching, and Apex out.
Mission accomplished. Good work.